It is very rare that I have a morning smoke. But today I felt like it. Today we have Davidoff, Winston Churchill, the Late Hour. The most expensive cigar in my humidor and the last one that I have. I was saving it for a special occasion and then decided, why? I'll get into that in a couple of minutes. Let's get this bad boy lit. I think part of the reason I decided to do a morning video was I like to have my balcony door open while I'm doing these cigar videos, let some of the smoke out. And in the morning, there seems to be a lot less disruption in this neighborhood. I went V-cut on this because the last one of these I had a bit of a tight draw, and I'm finding the V-cut addresses the tight draw issue. So why, oh why, would I take my finest cigar and just smoke it for a giggle whenever? Mostly because I wanted to. It's kind of that simple, but not entirely. I work strange hours. I tend to be up very early in the morning, 3 a.m., something like that. Although this morning I was awoken closer to 1 a.m. I don't know exactly what was going on, but there was some commotion. And as I looked out my balcony, I saw 2 police cars and an ambulance. Someone being loaded into the ambulance. Don't know what the deal was, but it had me thinking. I live in a building that has a fair bit of elderly people in it. So often when the ambulance is here is somebody who's elderly is going to the hospital. Most times they come back, sometimes they don't. That's kind of just how life goes. In recent days, I've had conversations with some folks that are not long for this earth. Now, I've been around long enough to see too many people go too young. Some knew, some didn't. Many years ago I worked with a guy who left work on Friday, didn't come in Monday because he was killed in a car accident. He was a bit of a handful to deal with at work, but overall he was a nice guy. I've had a couple close calls myself. I worked with another lady who, at a fairly young age, got stricken with the brain cancer, and didn't take long for that story to end. So as you can tell, this is a bit of a, maybe kind of a dark episode, hence the late hour. Winston Churchill dealt with some real dark things, and in the end, the world's a better place because of it. The takeaway that I've gotten from speaking with folks as they're nearing the end of their time is I haven't often heard anyone say, oh, I wish I saw Italy, I wish I saw Ireland, I wish I traveled more. The more common thing I hear is people wishing they spent less time doing the things they don't want to do. In many cases, it's jobs, careers, whatever, that took their time away from them when their kids were young. The funniest one, which is kind of why I'm talking about this, recently I was talking to an older fella. He knows his time is short at this point, and he's had a fairly full life. He's done well for himself, Obviously, I'm not identifying anybody, but he's ending his life in a 7-figure lifestyle because of making smart financial decisions. He lived a pretty full life. He had some adventures. When he talked about regrets, he said one of the funniest things, actually. He said, I never got to dance naked in the rain. What a thing to have as a regret. I never got to dance naked in the rain. I've also heard I never went skinny dipping under a full moon. Now, of those two things, I've done one. I won't extrapolate as to which one, but and when you hear things like that, like at my age, I'm in my late 40s, a lot of people are waiting for the next vacation. They're looking forward to their trip. They spend months and months talking about how they're going to go to the Dominican, they're going to go here, going to go there, and then they do their week or two and they come back and it's back to the grind and back to the life. And they tend to be like elated for a week and then maybe a second week, maybe a third week, and it's back into whatever their modus operandi is. And because I work in a labor industry, the modus operandi is often misery and complaint. Now, I know some folks I work with do watch these videos, so that does not reflect everybody. There are some true gems that I work with that I thoroughly enjoy the time I've spent with them. Anyways, as a result of this conversation, it had me thinking a lot. I'm not big in traveling. Maybe I'd like to go to Florida, maybe I'd like to go to Texas, but if I died tomorrow not doing it, I don't think it would impact me. And I started thinking about, what I may or may not regret. Now, I've been fortunate. In a period of my life, I was a musician who played some pretty good gigs. So, I got to stand on the same stage as many of my favorite artists. And I got to play music that I wrote for people who never heard it before and watch them get into it and enjoy it. That's a gift a lot of people don't get. I've had the opportunity to, sit at a little small backyard and play some acoustic guitar with some friends and strangers and just strum away with a big old grin on my face. Because that's what happens when I get up on the stage. I do tend to smile profusely. I know there's not much that I regret. And if the door were to close tomorrow, I think I would be much like a lot of the elderly people I've seen, pass away. And that is the biggest regret would be the time spent doing something I didn't want to do. Now, we all live in a world where we have to pay our bills. The job I have takes quite a bit out of me and does tend to negatively impact my ability to get out and live a more full life. So that's probably the biggest place that I need to make a change. And on the side note, this V-cut is really doing a thing for this cigar. This is quite nice. Now, this is the one where the tobacco is aged in whiskey barrels. I'm not sure that I taste that. It feels a bit gimmicky, but maybe there's something, slightly whiskey-like on the side of the tongue. I mean, all in, the blend is pretty close to like a Liga Privada. Although the retrohale on this is a lot more complex, a lot more. Anyway, so why did I decide to light this cigar? Well, I thought after my conversation, after seeing the ambulance and the police, 4 a.m. rolled around, I crawled out of bed, got myself prepared, had an early session at the gym. So at this point, I've actually probably been up for 5 or 6 hours. So for many people, that's kind of midday. But as I was heading out to the gym, I thought a bit about this conversation. It's winter now, so I'm not going to be dancing naked in the rain anytime soon. I suppose you could make a naked snow angel, but the frostbite might be a little bit peculiar in certain areas. But I thought, I do have that Davidoff Late Hour. Now, it would be nice to grab a few more of these, but I don't know if I can even find them anymore. And sit down and have them with friends sometime in the summer when the weather's nice, fireside. Because this tobacco, this flavor profile will stand up to campfire smoke, for sure. Probably stand up to an Isla whiskey, but might be early enough for a cigar, but it's too early for a whiskey. I have my coffee back here, but too early for a whiskey. We've had a bunch of rain, and then now we have the snowfall, so the trees are all kind of white on one side and dark on the other. Very contrasty out there. I think something to remember is when you're in that place where you're, we'll say, comfortably uncomfortable, there's a sense of stagnation in your life. You don't feel any movement. I mean, first, get up and do something you don't normally do. If you don't normally go to the gym, go to the gym. If you don't normally, buy a Starbucks, buy a Starbucks. If you don't normally smoke a cigar in the morning, smoke a cigar in the morning. But also, if you know someone, maybe you work with them, maybe they work at a place you frequent, maybe they're a family member. If you know someone who's nearing the end of their time, maybe sit down and have a conversation. Because I assure you that most people in the world, it will light a fire under their ass to get moving. Or at the very least, make whatever it is that is your giant tragedy right now seem mighty insignificant. Because there's people out there who are at the end and they would love to have another year of bad experiences over what they're facing. So keep it a hobby, not a habit. Raise your glass for winning, even when you're losing. And my new favorite thing, we can't all be Captain America, but you can sure as hell be Steve Rogers. Cheers. Side note, this cigar with that coffee is excellent. All of a sudden, there's a weird caramel coming out of both of them. Who knew? Cheers.